Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 163, where a podcast talks about pop culture things that interest us. And sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. It is kind of wacky to be here with you on a Wednesday evening. We're changing it
Yeah.
up, changing the
Mhm.
routine, mostly because I have no volleyball, but we're making the most of it.
Well, and Shogun is about an hour 20 per episode or hour 30 or something like that when you factor
It's
in
hefty.
commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it'd be that normal like 59 minutes or something. It feels like if it maybe an hour 10 if it didn't have all the commercials, but there it
Yeah,
is.
especially the first episode, but successive episodes too have felt very like Game of Thrones, where they're just kind of like we'll flirt with that hour marker, but we don't really feel totally bound to
Yes.
keep it under. Sometimes we just have too much to tell. So,
Yep. Yeah. So if you haven't figured it out by that and the title, we're going to be talking about Shogun from FX tonight. We've covered the first two episodes already, but we're going to be discussing episodes 3 through 5 now. So if you're, caught up, you'll be ahead of us. Otherwise, yeah, make sure you're through episode 5 when we get into that discussion. Before that, we're going to talk about our weeks and maybe a news thing or two and our drink holidays. And then I just want to, like, before all that stuff, just do a little of the housekeeping stuff. If you're joining us live on any of the platforms, Kick, YouTube, X, Twitch, you know, subscribe, follow, like the stream, whatever. If you're watching this later, I'm talking to you in the future. Give the video a thumbs up. And reviews on podcast platforms and stuff are appreciated as well. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think we'll, and then maybe in the middle somewhere before we talk about Shogun, I'll do the plugs for our friends. So it's not like all the way right
wow.
at the end. Yeah.
New night, new plugs. I mean, new podcasts. Who dis?
I don't know, right?
I
You
like
trying
it.
to
I
look
like
at
it.
the camera more? Yeah,
Keep the changes coming. Keep the changes
that's right,
coming. I
I
like
think.
it.
Okay, well, keep the changes coming. I'm gonna get a green screen here, and I'm going to project, like, our images on a green screen cut out of my butt. You, have have you
That was
seen that
oddly
trend?
specific. So
No,
no,
I
I
didn't come up
haven't.
with that. There's people that are playing video games, but they have, like, their butt silhouetted and green screen, so then the game is just playing. It's Twitch, I tell you. Twitch.
Dude, people think of the damnedest things. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes freedom of thought and creativity is a good thing, and sometimes it can go really left.
Oh, well, we'll see. Cream will rise to the top. We'll see. Um, something like that. Okay, so yeah, drink holidays. What should we be drinking? What are you drinking? What's we celebrating that they're drinking?
Sure, sure. I mean, are you sure you want to start here? We are, totally new podcast. We could just
I know,
jump
I'm just
straight to Shogun, come back to this at the
yeah,
end. I don't know.
make people guess what we're drinking and what the holidays
Right?
are. Yeah.
Right? Just like hold up a hand, do one of these. Woo. All right. Enough with the antics. So if you are interested in grabbing a big cup, haha, if you've watched Shogun, you'll get it. And joining us for a drink this evening. We have a couple of drink holidays to close out March and celebrate the beginning of April, which is my husband's and your birthday month. Happy almost birthday.
Yeah, we have a lot of people with birthdays. I know a couple other ones. I won't say in case I don't want it said, but yeah, a lot of
Yes.
April birthdays.
Yes, we're deep into like March, April. I feel like is many of our friends' children's,
Yeah.
a lot of birthdays there. So yeah.
Yep.
constant state of celebration. And if you would like to celebrate with a drink in your hand, you can choose to do so with March 27th's International Whiskey Day. That is true to our podcast slogan and motto, what I am celebrating with the biggest cup I could find in my house. So, cheers.
Whiskey ginger or
Mhm.
okay.
Yep, keeping it old school. I'm pushing back against your new rules. I like the change,
Okay.
but not too much. So,
I think you need to
I got
see
I
Phil for a bigger glass if that's your
I
biggest one.
know, I know. He has got the mega glasses as he showed us. I
Yeah.
mean, those things are like 2 little pools that you can put stuff in.
Yeah.
I mean, they're built for a purpose, though. I mean, Bloody Marys,
Yes.
you have lots of accoutrement, and
Yeah.
whiskey ginger just has the liquid. So, might need to
Right.
be a little careful there. But
Cool.
anyway, so that is what I am celebrating. Other things that you can celebrate include April 6th, New Beer's Eve, followed, of course, by April 7th, National Beer Day.
Okay.
We know Alan is raising a can to
Yep.
that particular holiday. Are you, or are you perhaps saving yourself for the following holiday? Or no
Perhaps.
holidays? Perhaps. All right, then I'll get right to it. April 9th, yesterday, a day I love dearly. So I almost decided to celebrate that, but I did not. But it is G&T, Gin and Tonic Day, another classic.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't feeling like having anything. And I thought G&T sounds light,
Mhm.
refreshing. So that's
Refreshing.
what I went with. Yep. I did make it a little bloody colored. This is some blood happening in our show, but yeah,
Yeah, some not only did the show get bloody, but it got very bloody.
yeah,
Um I mean, I feel like the violence thus far has been pretty tame and reined in. And these couple of episodes really showed us what they can do as far as
yeah.
violent and gory effects.
There's
So,
a chunks of bodies in there. That's what that is. A little, yeah. So yeah. All
for
right.
those of
Well,
us who do believe you don't drink bodies in your G&T, what are they in terms of the fruit world?
oh yeah. You don't believe? Okay. Yeah, they're just some higher quality maraschino cherries. So
Oh, okay, sure.
yeah.
They looked
Yep.
a little darker, so I was just
Yeah, they
asking.
are quite a lot darker. They're
Mm-hmm.
a gift, and they're just not so like waxy, fakey sort of thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, cheers.
Cheers. All right. There's the rundown of drink holidays. What's your rundown of television shows and any other pop culture things too? Or books or
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
What's been going on?
Yeah, so I mean, Shogun obviously takes up a lot of your time as a
Yep.
television show. So of course that's been the bulk of it. But I have gotten farther on a show I talked about earlier. I think a couple of episodes back. Marry My Husband, which is based on a webtoon. It's on
Yeah.
Amazon
Right.
Prime, and I was a little dissatisfied with it because it was hewing very closely to the webtoon. I am now almost to the end. The show really picked up speed. It kind of found its own spin on some plot lines, um, simplified some things, and sort of created a new side villain to help move everything along and move things forward in a way that made sense. Um, to be a little bit shorter. So I like
Okay.
it. I
Okay.
dig the changes. They suit a TV format. They suit me in terms of feeling like I'm not watching the exact same thing I just read, but rather like a variation that's suited for the medium that it's presented in. And I really like it. I would recommend
Good.
this.
Yeah,
Excellent acting.
I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't remember what it was called.
Mm,
It's like, oh, maybe it'll
yes.
stand out. But yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Marry My Husband. It's gotten some pretty good reviews so far. And I think some detractors have sort of been like, "Oh, this feels really long," and then they're like, I know that this is, like, K-drama format," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Like, I think the specific issues you're pointing out when you say it's too long are kind of a functionality of K-drama, a little bit of, like, the rom-com, we need some more obstacles for our couples, we might, throw a little bit of, like, "Oh, this is kind of crazy that this misunderstanding happens," or "This one happens again," but
Yeah.
it's 16 episodes, so it actually really isn't that terribly
Okay.
long, I don't think.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's I would like to get into because I know it's really popular now and it's always can be looking for good things, but it's hard to find what is I should really devote my time to as far as like Korean
Mhm.
television. Cause
Yeah.
I mean, as far as anything, but specifically, like there's just a ton. And I don't want to sit
Mhm.
and try them all. And I feel like a lot of the lists are kind of just people putting together things they've kind of heard of, and they're not really what's
Sure.
best. Maybe there's a
Sure.
site out there, some that follow the K dramas more closely and really give proper, meaningful suggestions because
Mhm.
there's just dozens of them. It's just endless.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's tough to where to start because a lot of them are going to share the same DNA. Obviously, you want them to some extent, but which ones rise above? And
Mhm.
don't know where to begin. So,
Yeah, I mean, I was a couple of years ago, I was really on, like, a K-drama track. I watched a bunch of them in a row, and there's a couple that stand out in my mind. I don't remember the titles of all of them, so I'd have to, like, Google, like, what I know of the quick synopsis of the plot to remember some of the titles. So I would share a couple for you if you're still
okay,
interested.
sure. Sounds good.
But
Cool.
yeah, this is a good one as well, and it's fun. Like I said, I read the webtoon and now watched this, and that was fun. So
Yeah. Awesome.
a good one to check out. Other things that I finished are Apothecary Diaries that we've been watching, and are going to
Mhm.
talk about on our next Ohio Anime
Mhm.
podcast. I'm excited. I loved the ending. Um, and yeah, excited that, they right away were just like, and season two is coming.
Yeah.
So good, good,
Yeah.
good.
And speaking of Ohio Anime, if you're out there and you like anime, make sure you follow that YouTube channel,
Mhm.
Ohio Anime. Uh, and uh, our friend Mike, Track Mouse 34 on YouTube, and just Track Mouse on Instagram. He put our sticker now on his race car. His race car is
Oh,
like done,
fun.
basically. It's like got all the decals on and stuff. It's all
Yeah,
set. So he just the other day put our Ohio Anime sticker on the back. So yeah,
fun. We should all go out and like take a picture with our sticker on his
I
car.
know we'll be
That'd
like right down by it. Just
right. Ah!
so yeah, no, very cool,
Yeah.
very cool. So yeah, expect that talk hopefully on Monday.
Yes. And then, speaking of going left, I caught up on a show that I've been tuning in and out of, and I just wanted because it's like still kind of touching the cultural phenomena right now. I wanted to mention I caught up on Vanderpump Rules this latest season post Scandival and all of that noise from last season. And I have to say that
Post
this
what? Post what?
Scandival. Okay. So have you ever watched Vanderpump Rules?
No, not really, no. Mm-mm.
Okay. So
I mean,
basic
I know it's about her
premise.
running her business.
Yes, yes,
Y
it follows, like, the waiters at her restaurant, Sir, and they're, like, this
Mhm.
tight-knit group of friends. They're all, fairly attractive individuals, dating each other, other people,
Yeah.
cheating, lying, scandal, but the, one of the couples who's been on that show, has been together for about 10 years of the show since, like, season 2, and last season was, like, season 10, and, right after filming season 10, it was revealed that the guy from this couple, Tom Sandoval, was cheating on his girlfriend, Ariana Madix, with her best friend, also on the
Mm,
show, and they'd been cheating for, like, 6 months, and, like, nobody caught it, and then all of a sudden it came out. Um, so it, like, just kind of erupted into this huge thing, and then somebody, I cannot remember who, but a very clever gossip columnist coined this scandal off of Sandoval's last name, Scandoval.
mm, okay,
And
okay.
it became this, like, huge thing where, like, Vanderpump Rules was really relevant again, everybody was talking about it, they were rewatching the season, trying to, like, spot the clues of where these 2
Mm,
were, like, maybe sneaking off. Um, I think, like, the show got so much press. Um, Vanderpump even got invited to, like, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, like, it was, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, like, nuts, the level that this
people in
got
your people in your staff, they cheated on each other, so come come have dinner with us here.
Well, apparently, too, I mean, I think this is, like, funny political, so I'm just gonna dip briefly into politics.
Sure.
Apparently, a lot of politicians and their staff watch this show. They're, like, secret Bravo
Mm,
fans. So, like,
okay.
somebody was like, "Oh, yeah, everybody in DC is, like, talking about Vanderpump, and, like, we love that stuff, we're all, like, Bravo followers out here. We know all the Bravo lebs," and, so yeah, so it made sense then that, that
Interesting,
she got that
okay.
invitation, but I just thought it was really funny that so many politicians are following,
Mhm.
cheating and scandal and lying, and it's like,
I mean, it's
ah,
the world they live in, so it's really just feels
right.
at home to them. It's like, "Oh, this is
I was gonna
comforting,"
say,
Just
it's very meta right now,
yeah.
so, but
Uh,
yeah, so now I've been watching the post Scandival season. Um,
okay.
Yeah, and it's been interesting. It's hard for, I think, for a show to live up to that kind of hype and, like, level of fame that it got for itself,
Right.
and it's falling a little bit short, but not for lack of trying. There's still stuff going on. There's still people showing up creating the drama, but it's very difficult because these 2 cast members are now, like, not speaking,
Right.
and it's real awkward.
Mhm. I mean, the producer's gotta be like they're in someone else's ear, like, "Hey, did you see, she was kinda eyeing you, like, have you thought about" and just, like, trying to get more people to cheat and make different connections or something. Spice it up, guys. Hmm, okay. Well, that's fun. I did,
Yeah.
see, like, Vanderpump Rules advertised in a couple more places that I just hadn't noticed before. So it
Mhm.
did like I didn't think anything of it. I just did
Sure.
see it pop up here and there a little bit more. So that's what was going on, I suppose. All right.
Sure. Yes, yes. So it was on your radar, you just didn't know why. And yep,
Yeah.
that was it. Everybody was following Scandival.
Okay. All right. Yep. So out of that world, I don't know if I'll ever be back, but those were good times. Those were good times. Um
Yeah. I mean, I'm slowly falling kind of back, falling a pace of the world. So that's why,
mhm,
I mean, I binge watched like 5 episodes, maybe 6 to catch up. So, because I hadn't
so
really been following it. But yeah, it was kind of fun to get back in there and see what was going on and what they were doing.
sure. Well, that was a good variety of stuff, you got, kinda trashy
It was.
reality, you've got sort of, you got some anime in there, you got, yeah, good good mix up. I kept a good mix, I think, this week as well. It was,
You did?
the week our sort of horror movie night, and so no one in the group was really super passionate about anything. I kind of had seen this movie Out of Darkness pop up on I think the iTunes charts or somewhere like
Hmm.
that, and it just caught my eye, and it's a, movie that's quite recent. It was, last 2 years ago, 2022, and synopsis here, in the old Stone Age, a disparate gang of early humans band together in search of a new land, but when they suspect a malevolent, mystical being is hunting them down, the clan are forced to confront a danger they never envisioned. And I
Hmm.
love the idea of like, you know, either pre-human or ancient human. And I always love man versus nature. You don't have a lot of like resources at your disposal and like something mystical and stuff like that. So um watch
Yeah.
that, and I liked it quite a bit. I had some issues with like characters, I guess. There's some pretty um meek characters given the time or whatever, but the acting was well done. The only actor I was familiar with is Kit Young. So he's in the Netflix show we watched, the like teen young adult show with a guy from Westworld based
Shadow
on the
and
books.
Bone. Shadow
Yeah,
and Bone.
Shadow and Bone. So he's the
Yes.
gunslinger guy. Uh,
Jasper.
yeah. hmm So he's in there, and he's kind of a pathetic character, but he does a good job. And the
Good.
film is well shot. The music is eerie. Um, there's some shocking moments of gore, not a lot, but like enough. It's just in there, and then it leaves an impact because it's not like a slasher type of thing. It's not everywhere.
Sure.
Um, Someone in the group chat mentioned like, "Hey, it's really nice to see shots at night, actually shot at night." As opposed to all this even with
House of the Dragon.
yeah, yeah, all this faking nighttime stuff. So, um,
Yeah.
it's an interesting sort of lesson involved in the film, some of which I would like, I guess, push back on or something, but it's um it's an enjoyable movie. It's not super long. I think the rating here on IMDb is 5.6 out of 10 is totally unfair. Um, it's a well done, feels like indie sort of horror movie, and
Okay.
yeah, it's you know in a day and age when a lot of things don't have a very it feels like don't have a very educated eye behind the camera. This one felt good, and yeah, I only an hour and a half, hour 28.
Okay.
So out of darkness, I'd recommend it.
Nice and short.
Yeah.
Speaking of horror, I would see this movie. But what other movie I really desperately want to see, that I haven't gotten around to yet is Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Is that the Rory Kinnear? Is he in that one too, or is that am I thinking of something else?
Patrick Dempsey
Oh, okay, okay,
is in this one.
Ye- okay. Yeah, I'd heard some good things about it. Um, I would feel weird watching it now, but we should like make note of that when the time comes that we watch Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yes, I remember we were talking about it last year, and I cannot remember why.
Probably just
Like, I
talk.
can't remember
Yeah.
why there was something about this one. I mean, not only because it was, like, Thanksgiving and not really, like, horror movie material for a holiday,
hmm
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was some other reason I feel like we were talking about it. Oh, Grindhouse.
Oh, is that what it's based on?
Is
Is
that
the trailer that was in
I
Grindhouse?
think so, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I think that's
That's right. I
why.
remember you bringing that
Yes.
up. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Feel so much better about
Alright.
that now.
Yeah, we should give it a shot for sure. On the other end of the spectrum, I guess, it's not very scary, Quantum of Solace. Maybe the theme song's scary, depending on uh, your take. I watched Quantum of Solace again. I haven't seen it in years. Daniel Craig's second James Bond film. There's a big guy in the James Bond community called David Zaritsky, and not called that, it's his name, and his channel is the Bond Experience, and he is a defender of this movie. He's just like you know,
Okay.
he puts it in towards the top of his
Bold.
list. Yeah, And so I think it's been a long time. Been rewatching some Bond movies. Got to give it a shot. And my complaints of it still stand. Namely, it felt like they were trying to uh, jump on the sort of stylistic bandwagon of the Bourne movies. This came out a year after the Bourne Ultimatum, and there was
Mhm.
like rooftop chase, and then like a sort of hard hitting fight scene in this little like kind of other like kind of worn down apartment room that felt like Born Ultimatum, camera shakier. It just it felt like it was going after that. So I just still don't like that. I still
Mhm.
don't like the duet in theme song. And but the things have changed is time has made me understand what this movie is now. Whereas initially, after I saw Casino Royale, at the end, I'm like, okay, now the James Bond that was built up in this movie is the James Bond be familiar with
Mhm.
in the next one. But he wasn't.
Mhm.
He was like turned his emotionality off. He was cold,
Mhm.
calculating, and like getting over the death of Vesper. Now that I
Right.
know that that's the route they took, it doesn't bother me so much. Um, some of the action sequences are kind of a mess. They cut a lot between the moment and another scene and then back. There's this like interplay between like
Mhm.
the chasing on the roof and then the bulls running and all this sort of thing. They do that a number of times in a couple different fights. And though I don't like some of that, it works in the towards the very end. And then I
Mhm.
do like how they resolve the fight scenes in a very calming, static, nice shot. So that does feel good.
Okay.
I don't know. I I like I enjoyed it more. I'll say that. I enjoyed it more than Memory because in the past I always remember liking a lot of things stylistically in the movie, though having issue
Mhm.
with the direction they took. But I
Sure.
appreciate the imagery, the music really sets a different tone. I think the soundtrack is really good for it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that's my kind of re-review of Quantum of Solace on my
Mhm.
rewatch. For quick thoughts without going at too much length
Yeah.
here.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just reading some, like, you know, basic plot points to catch myself up on some of, like, the more
Yeah,
detailed things that I don't remember because it's also been a while. But one thing I'm noting here that's really interesting is, I forgot at all that Felix Leiter makes an appearance in this movie,
yeah.
and apparently, there were a lot of, like, early drafts of the movie that gave him a pretty large role, and then they were rewriting it on set and
Yeah.
kept diminishing, and so, like, that's something I do remember thinking, like, I don't know if this is just now, like, my biases because I've heard that, so it's, like, confirmation bias, but some of the plotline feeling sloppy, potentially due to these, like, on-set rewrites.
It was a writer's strike. That was the problem here with this. The
Right,
writer's strike, the last one before what we just had now or whatever, was
right.
was during this. And so it was a big I remember thinking it's too bad that the director Mark Forster kind of got a bum deal on this because
Yes.
I think that he actually shot a pretty impressive movie that had a lot of well done Bond elements. We traveled the world. The sort of look
Mhm.
of introductions, like transitions between London and different areas, was really nice. They
Right.
changed up the suits from they got Tom Ford involved and it wasn't involved before.
Mhm.
So it was just a lot of improvements, and there's a cool like emotional weight added to this
Mhm.
was maybe it would have maybe been hard to do now that, Vesper's gone, but they still I don't know, it's a cold, calculating Bond, it's a different sort of feel. I think they nailed what they were going for in that. I just think that was ended up being kind of cobbled together uh,
Mhm.
too sort of last minute, and it could have
Yeah.
been something, a lot more. So,
Yeah.
and then the weird thing is we never got the logical 3rd movie, because the next movie was a big break till
Yes.
Skyfall, and we went
Mhm.
from young, brand new Bond just becoming a double O to having his heart crushed and finding feeling the fallout from that, to
Mhm.
now Bond dealing with his age and, like, have I
Yeah.
lost a step? So we never got the middle anything.
Middle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that just made it weird.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be interesting in a way if it was intentional, because we do with previous bonds have so much middle bond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much, like, I've already established myself, but I'm not at the end of my career, even though, like, God love you, Pierce Brosnan, die another day, you are at the end of your James Bond career. Um, like, we have all the middles. And then so having this kind of interesting exploration of the beginning and the end is something different for sure, but it feels disjointed because it doesn't feel intentional. It doesn't feel thought out, and it doesn't feel like there's a bridge to say, like, we're doing the beginning, we're doing the end. It just sort of feels like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
here to here, how did we do that?
What if we put together a our own sort of marathon order where we do Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and then we pick the middle. Then we go
Ooh,
like
I like that.
then we have to go like, you know, Goldfinger, but that's a big jump
Yeah.
in style. Maybe we go, like Living Daylights. We go with Dalton.
Yeah.
Living
Yep.
Daylights, then we go Goldfinger, then maybe License to Kill.
To Kill, that's what
Kinda
I was thinking too.
then we gotta get in, Mrs. Bond, right? So we do Honor Her Majesty's Secret Service,
Right.
then we need a gap. So then I think we do, uh, For Your Eyes Only, then
Okay.
Goldeneye, Tomorrow Never Dies, Skyfall,
I would do that.
to
That's a
No Time
lot,
and
but
No
I
Time
would
to
do it.
Die. I mean,
I
like,
would
I
do
feel
it.
like, if you were gonna tell someone, "Watch Bond," and, like, get the story, get the, you know,
Right. The
beginning to
career.
end. Yeah. You have the
Yeah, not
beginning
like
and you have
yeah.
the end where that is clearly,
Yeah.
and then, you have right in the middle there is, like, you have gotta have Goldfinger because it kinda defines what that is. So you
Yeah.
move into a lightheartedness in the center, and then you start getting
Mhm.
more serious again as it goes
Right,
towards the end.
right. I feel it. I like that.
And you just make
Yeah.
well, I don't know how many that is, like 10 movie thing.
Yeah. That was at least 8 of them. That's a solid, like, spanning
We
spanning
should run
of
around our list.
styles. Yeah. Styles, kind of yeah, storylines, different bonds, plus, like, the actual what you would think of as his career,
Yeah,
like the beginning, middle, and end. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm, I like this. This is intriguing.
Bond community out there, send us your lists. Give us,
Yes.
approximately 10 films. Put
I
this
mean,
together.
I feel like the bookends would stay the same, but
Right.
what
You
would
have that you
change in the
have
middle?
exactly. You
Yes.
have to go prerequisites, I think, is Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace. You have to, because it's right there.
I
You have
know,
to
I know.
you have to see the closure for him, and then
I know.
No Time to Die is the end. Or do we have to
Yeah.
do we make Quantum of Solace optional?
I mean, I get it. We can stick it in there, and I think you would have to keep Skyfall because it is, like, such a great aging. I mean, or you could do the only other aging
Okay,
one is Die Another Day, and I don't wanna do that, so Skyfall.
okay, okay. The
Because Die
Casino
Another Day
Royale, No
is
Time to
he
Die.
gets captured. You know what I
Let's
mean?
keep it open for everyone. Let's keep it open.
Okay,
Casino
alright,
Royale
alright.
and, No Time to Die.
Okay.
That's good. Alright, everybody let us know. Um, okay, yeah, I won't mention too much else what I watch here. Just Physical 100. Everybody make sure you watch it. Season 2 is out now,
Mhm.
so that'll get you motivated. And then did you happen to see, there's been some news, you happen to see the, Joker trailer drop today?
I did not see it yet, but I saw some imagery last week, and I saw that it was coming out. I did not remember that that was today.
Yeah, no, it's, I kind of half saw it with some of the sound off or whatever, and so
Okay.
visually looks really cool. I'm still very intrigued slash worried about the concept, but,
Sure.
yeah. So for those of you that are interested, at least to me, there's some cool Batman news. We have the
Sure.
Joker trailer, which who knows? I really see it as this other, it really is this other thing, this kind of experimental, whatever. And then the news of, the Penguin trailer, and that's supposed to be
Mhm.
pretty dark and gritty. So, yeah.
Yes, I am really excited about that.
Yeah.
Uh
Oh, one more thing. Sorry, I should have done this before I moved on to Batman. Uh, the Bond Experience again did a video talking about how they really think Theo James would be a great James Bond. If you know who that is, he is in
Theo
the Divergent
James.
series.
Yes, he's in Castlevania too,
Oh,
isn't
okay.
he? Isn't he the
I don't know.
voice of the lover, the dude with the young vampire girl?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
Oh, man.
actor, actor. Yeah, it could be.
Is
He's
that
in
it? Is
White
that
Lotus, I guess.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, Hector. Good
Okay,
call.
nice. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to bring it up because I really haven't thought of that before as a Bond option, and he's in the show called The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie on Netflix, and so I
Right.
do intend to start that show. I want to see
Samesies.
what I think about that. So that will be something I'll probably start this week. So just letting you know if you're interested, give it a shot as well. I need to at least see it because I haven't seen anything Guy Ritchie in a while, and also I want to see if Theo James to me stands out as a Bond candidate. Can he beat Aaron
Sure.
Taylor Johnson? So
Sure. That's to me on a very, I haven't seen enough of Theo James's work, so a very surface level, it's hard to do because I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is a great candidate. I
I do
really
too.
love him
I
as
do
an
too.
actor.
Yeah,
So,
just what
that
I mean. I
that to
know
me
I've
is a hard
seen.
ask.
I know that they're telling. They're saying he really has the charisma. He has the it thing. He's got the I don't know. So, but I just
He
want to
does.
decide for myself, give it a shot because
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it can be surprising, like, one thing can change your mind, like, Bullet Train really cinched it for me,
Yeah,
like,
right.
in terms of his charisma. So, I mean, maybe I could watch something and just be like, "That's it?" You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
That's a light
That's
bulb
what it
moment for
sounds like the
Theo
gentleman
James.
is. That's what sounds like the gentleman
Okay,
is. So yeah.
okay. Interesting.
All right. Well, a show where I don't know if there are that many gentlemen. They pretend to be maybe in some sense, but Shogun. So from FX, period piece based on a book. We've covered the first 2 episodes. Now we're talking about episodes
Mhm,
3 through 5 of Show.
mhm.
So yeah, it's you mentioned before, like after this, we should maybe cover 2 episodes because a lot does happen in each episode, it feels like. There
Mhm.
so when I'm looking back at thankfully at your notes, I'm like, yeah, it was wild because my notes have been quite minimal. I've really been like kind of hooked in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's nice because, nothing really gets spoiled for me if I accidentally look at your notes when I'm writing
yes.
mine, but, at the same time, I did look at yours before I started, and I was like, "Does this mean it's, like, really good or really bad that this is, like, all ju"
Yeah. Oh, no, you froze on my screen. I don't know if you're oh,
Oh,
there you
no.
are. Okay, you're back. Yeah,
Just
no,
a
I can
blip,
see not
hopefully.
yeah, not being, my notes not giving away whether it's good or not. And, like, there
Yeah.
is time for me to take notes during all these freaking commercial breaks, but, I I guess I don't. I don't know. I'm just watching and absorbing,
You're
so
just in it. Yep.
yeah. Okay, so just as a sort of summation quickly for people where we're at here, thanks to your
Mhm.
notes, looks like we have Toranaga trying to get out, leave. He's gonna go to
Osaka.
his
Mhm.
yeah, he's gonna go to his right hand man's like what nephew's place, village.
Yep. Yep. Fishing
Um,
village, yep.
yeah, and so there's a whole sort of scheme to get him out of there, and it's very secretive, not telling almost anyone about how this is happening or that this is really happening at all. And he successfully manages to escape,
Mhm.
and because they're calling for him back at the Capitol, come to the council meeting where he's going to be impeached and put to death. That's what it's going to
Mhm.
be. So he gets out, and we then spend a lot of time with like we're. Oh yeah, I can't skip over it. We have the Ajin Blackthorn. He's being brought with them. They're after him.
Yes.
We have this whole
Yes.
sort of ship chase thing where the guy he saved, the Portuguese man, like does him a one last solid, like
Ugh,
make up
he
for
is
it,
my
and lets him.
fave. I love him. If I have any critical notes for the show, I mean, I have a couple, but, like, my biggest critical note, more Rodriguez, please. I
He
love
is good. Ah, you froze
like, n
again.
oh, no, no, no. Get
Okay, you
back.
love Rodriguez. Alright, you love Rodriguez.
I do, and I love their, like, insult exchange. They are
Mhm,
so creative in this show with just these, like, filthy, hilarious insults between all of our English characters. Um,
mhm.
so, I mean, and I say English because I mean
Yeah,
speaking English because
right,
they pretend that Portuguese is English.
right.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, this is one of my favorite exchanges here, you know. This is a lot of like kind of mini debts being repaid to Blackthorn that, you know, he's had racked up. Like, first of all, he gets on his ship because like the captain who sailed to Osaka with him, like Blackthorn navigated the crew through that horrible storm and like saved a bunch of people. So he's like, "Hey, you're cool. I remember you. Like, let's get on the ship and get Tornaga out of here." Rodriguez lets him like get the ground so he can escape because he saved Rodriguez's life. So he's like, "Yeah, I owed you." So
Yep.
already Blackthorn's kind of like racking up this exchange of favors that's happening.
Yeah, right. Yep. So yeah, that was exciting. It's good to see Rodriguez.
Mhm.
Not sure we'll see him again, but maybe um
I bet
they
we
make
will.
it they make it to the village, and it's all like you know, Toranaga makes Blackthorn Hatamoto, which he's like told is a
Yes.
very important, honorable position. So he gets a
Yes.
house, he gets someone to take care of him and his house,
Mhm.
Fuji. Um
Poor Fuji.
Poor Fuji.
They just they just
Yeah.
keep asking of her,
Yes.
you
Mhm.
know? I mean,
Mhm.
she has a whole, I think, very rightful outburst where she's like, "How much else can I give here, people?"
Yep.
Uh, yeah. She's kinda sneaky becoming one of my favorite characters,
Right.
and these
Yeah.
these episodes really solidified her as a character for me.
Yep. Yep. And so we see a lot of inner drama and training with Blackthorn. That's part of his deal. He's going to train troops here, train a regiment, and we get some earthquakes and a lot of So that's kind of Tornaga's
Mhm.
son makes maybe a crazy decision and blows some people away,
Oof.
and
Yeah.
and then we end with a bigger earthquake. So that's sort of just
Yes.
a large, quick overview sort of thing, so we can get into the meat of
Yes.
wherever we feel like here.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so you mentioned we can start wherever you like, but you did mention Fuji. So I feel like
Mhm.
we have more to say on her. What do we think of
Yes.
Fuji and the path that she's been put upon here?
Yes, I have been fascinated with her character in these last couple of episodes. She starts out with a lot of anguish and rage, because of course, like
Yeah. Oh,
her
perfect.
very
Mhm,
fitting picture.
mhm.
Her infant son and her husband have died, um, to avert open conflict between Toranaga and Ishido after an insult. Um, so it not only, kind of highlights how serious that the Japanese people take their rituals and their ceremony, their rights and regulations around guests and, being in each other's homes. Um, so it not only highlights the seriousness of that, but then also, of course, like highlights for us viewers and also for Blackthorn, like the tragedy that can occur when those have been violated. And
Yeah.
to the Japanese people, it makes sense. To Blackthorn, as we see later, it doesn't. So he has several things to say that I think do apply to Fuji's situation where, a lot of people are like, you have to keep going, this is in service to a greater cause. And she's like, is it though? You know, Is it? I don't really know what else I'm supposed to do here. Not only have I given this, the literal bodies of my family to this cause, now I have to maybe give my body as I made consort
Yeah.
to the Anjin, who luckily for her, I think, decides, we're just gonna keep this very surface level. You can take care of my house, but you don't have to take care of my person and my needs. Um, so that kind of allows them to, I think, develop a different kind of bond. And we see that growing through these episodes where, he ends up trusting Fuji with his guns, very
Yeah.
precious possession. He trusts her with his household. Um, he trusts her with like um a gift. Like he not only like has her be in charge of his guns, but then he also gives her a gun and says, "I'm gonna teach you to use it," which is a big deal. And then, after this massive earthquake, we have him coming back to the household and checking on her. And they have kind of a nice, like, we're something more now moment. We don't know, like, are we friends? Are we kind of like a pseudo family ish? We're companions. We're something deeper than what we were. I don't think it's a romantic moment, but I think it's a nice evolution in their relationship.
Yeah. It's just to me, it was just a really kind of beautiful moment of
Mhm.
respect.
Yes.
And there's a they do such a good job in this show of like we see it right at the beginning with Fuji and trying to like throw it in your face the culture clash here. Like here's
Mhm.
Japan all this time ago. Like this is what it was like. Boy, you're not prepared for it, sort of thing. And we get to see that through Blackthorn. Well, also that is just like not compatible. We see the
Mhm.
world in such different ways, and so they do that well continuously throughout the show. And so it's nice when you get to see that despite those wildly different worldviews and mentalities, that you can start to build respect amongst each other and like so you just could start to understand each other a little bit,
Mhm.
and so I think that yeah, I really liked that little moment, even though it's like not much to it. It's like I'm
Yeah.
tipping the rock back up that the gardener that it's my
Mhm.
fault for killing
Mhm.
Yeah, it was
Well,
good.
and, he checks on her and, like, they hold
Yes.
hands after, he realizes she's been like, all of these, like, very quiet things, very domestic things that are kind of their shared commonality, and he's just like, new respect I have here."
Yeah. And it's because it's they have to play this balancing. I mean, in episode 5 here was to me one of the best episodes,
Mhm.
maybe the best. That it was like you say very domestic. You have the dinner with the four of them. You got Mariko, you've got Fuji, you've got Blackthorn, and the husband. The,
Spoilers!
the
Buntaro.
surprise. Yeah.
I knew he wasn't dead. I knew
Really?
it.
Why did you know? Why
Yes,
did you feel like that was true? That was
the second that I saw all those soldiers push him into a house and he died off screen, I was
off
like,
screen. Okay.
"Coming back, coming
Uh,
back." I didn't know if he was gonna be a traitor or a
right.
hero.
Yeah.
Like, I as to that, but yeah, I knew he was coming
Mhm.
back.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's what did you think of that whole because it involves Fuji as well. Like, what do you think of that whole dinner situation?
It was awkward. There was a lot of subtext there. Some of it I got, and some of it I did not.
Hmm.
So there was a lot of subtext, there was obviously not so subtle, in terms of, like, the dinner was, like, growing into a competition between
Yeah.
Buntaro and, our Anjin. That rose to the surface very quickly, and everybody could tell at the dinner table it was over Mariko. Um, and I mean, mostly. I mean, some of it is just like Buntaro's like, I don't want to be in your house. I don't want my wife here. But he could
Right.
definitely sense like closeness.
Hmm.
I'm not sure I got all of the tension around like asking to share his story of his escape. And why that
Yeah.
made him so upset, I didn't
Fuji.
understand. Like, everybody was like, "I'm so sorry he's asking you this, but he wants to know," and I was just like, "But I don't get it." I don't he doesn't have to, like, boast, or he doesn't have to like boasting, but it was really awkward how that really ratcheted up the tension. So if
That's
you know
how they
something
were
I don't,
taking it,
please.
though. I mean, that's how they're taking it. I think we got that from Fuji saying, apologies, he doesn't know. It must be more appropriate to boast in, where he comes from. And so,
Sure.
like, telling your own tale of your bravery, heroism, even if it's like factual, they're seeing as well, someone else should spin your tale. That's what
Mhm.
people will. I don't know. So I was surprised too, but I was glad that they added it in the line there because yeah, you wouldn't think just your literal like how you survived is braggadocious, but yeah,
Right.
they're seeing it that way. Is it's that's
Right. I mean,
not
I
for me
thought
to
maybe
tell.
that was gonna be the thing that, like, ratcheted down the tension, like, "Oh, we're, like, dudes, we're gonna talk,
Sure.
fights and war stories," and, that was gonna be an opportunity for Buntaro to, like, needle him into being like, "What are your war stories?" Because we know he doesn't really have any.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that that was actually gonna go a different way and kind of, like, de-escalate, and then suddenly it was, like, from, like, a 20 to 100.
Yeah.
And, we had tell Mariko, tell him your story of your family, tell him your shame. Now I'm gonna shoot some arrows. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there was some underlying moments there that I just wasn't following the plot line of this dinner. I
Mm.
thought like the beats of tension were appropriate. Um, and I understood where everybody was coming from as a character. I'm just not sure about like the actual plot here making sense
Mm.
from
I
start
thought it
to
was really
finish.
revealing because we're like, man, he's Buntaro is such a jerk. but now we know why, because he
Yes.
doesn't respect his wife. She
Yes.
is not one to be respected, and so, like, she carries with this, like, she has her duty to do, and he has his duty as well, so they fulfill
Mhm,
it, but
mhm.
she shouldn't even be alive, like, he's for like, she's like, "You should kill me out of because of my shame of my family,"
Yeah.
and he's like, "No, your punishment will be that you live and serve me."
See that yeah, that was another very, like I liked the very confusing moment that that created because it's like, this is a punishment, and also you could take it as he, like, loves her and wants her to
Mm,
live on some level.
maybe.
So it's very like, he could have multiple motives, and
Sure.
it's sort of humanizing, but also sort of isn't, much like the rest of this cast of characters, their motives are insanely complex, and just when
Yes.
you think, like, they're leaning one way, they're another way. Um,
Yeah.
so again, there were beats that felt logical, like, we have to learn about Mariko's story, like, we need to know why Buntaro is, like, such a jerk, slash maybe cares about Mariko and, is really reacting to the tension and the relationships he sees in this house, but I'm just not sure that, like, the conversation that happened at this dinner was logical enough to get us from A to B to C to D.
Hmm. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I liked it, and I thought it made sense, so, like, in the terms
Okay.
of, I mean, you got 2 cocks in the hen house now here, whatever, and they're gonna be, it's like, we're gonna s who this is how we drink, and it's sort of this, it really became a pissing
Oh,
contest sort of thing, and then
that
you don't know
totally
what kind
made
of
sense.
emotionality comes out of that, and so, like, some of these things
Sure,
that wouldn't have boiled over otherwise did, and,
sure.
it ends up really, like, whereas Mariko was wanting to share her story before, is now forced to share it, and so it brings a really different tonality to that, whereas
Mhm.
before it was like a moment of trust, now
Yeah,
it's like a, "Here's my shame," and a
shame.
moment of abuse,
Mhm. Yes.
So,
Yeah, like I said, for me, the bookends of the dinner made sense. It's just like the stuff in the middle, I just wasn't sure that it was like bridging the gaps. So, but it was yeah, interesting from start to finish. Um
mhm,
and it did, I think, serve its overall purpose, however clunkily, in my opinion, of once again pointing out to us that Blackthorn just can't quite get a grasp on customs and doesn't always understand the consequences of what he's doing.
yeah.
So
I
whereas, like, what he's doing has consequences for Mariko here, what he does earlier has, like, ultimate consequences for his gardener. Gosh, I cannot remember his name right
Oh,
now.
yeah, I don't remember his name at all. Nope,
Ujiro?
I wouldn't even
I
know
think
where.
so.
What'd you say?
I think it's Ujiro?
Hmm.
I think that's close to I apologize for any butcherings that I have. I think it's close to, um, what it is. But yeah, no, his, like, words earlier and his, like, lack of understanding of, like, how much respect is given to, like, the head of the household gets, you know, him killed
Right.
when he says, like, "If anybody touches the bird, they die," and they're like, "'Kay, literal, got it."
Oh, yeah, Uejiro, yeah, okay, I see him on the list now
Urejiro.
here.
Okay. Sorry,
Um,
I was in the
yeah,
neighborhood.
s he really like, they were trying to get his attention with addressing the pheasant for a while. They really needed to
Mhm.
get Mariko, around during that, so we can just have we just talk about it for a second, like, "Hey, explain to the outsider that this is, like, people are gonna think there's a curse around this house. Like, if we have problems here because there's flies and a smell.
People
Like,
in the village are talking about this,
yes,
like
yes. can we just like, and it's like, yeah, the pheasant was aged enough already. Like we can be done with it. But we just that's had take a beat and talk to each other here. Use your translator. So
Yep.
that, yeah, that was, but again, a really good example of how this show makes the cultural differences so clear. It's
Mhm.
like Blackthorn's coming from a culture that's, has more of a semblance of individualism, and going to a
Mhm.
culture that is about service and honor,
Mhm.
and like the even defining honor is so different and interesting. And
Yes.
it's one of those
I do
things like,
wanna oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's just the Bushido way that is so, people credit
Mhm.
to Japan having lived on so long in a type of isolation
Mhm.
and managing to do so in, as Monaco says, a land that can just swallow you up, you know,
Mhm.
anytime. Uh, but like, what are the conditions a person has to live in to
Mhm.
like, to make the system work? I don't know. It's just the show's doing better than any other show in a more honest way than I have ever seen. So I'm
Mhm.
appreciating it.
I do wanna get back to this idea of, like, freedom and service because, of course, it does come up in our literal show dialogue. So I do wanna talk about that moment, but I do wanna also just step back a second to say, I think one of the other things that I believe the show is doing really well is this, like, steps forward, steps back that Blackthorn has with understanding and appreciating the culture
Hmm.
of, the land that he is now a part of. Like, there are moments when you think he seems to be getting it, he seems to be grasping it, and then he has these, like, major failings
Yes.
where, something wasn't taken into account, and now, he's like, "I understand the gravity of that now. I can't just play around because a man died because of me." I also think the show does a really great job of, like, playing with our understanding of how much he's adapting because there are moments when, he is Blackthorn is speaking Japanese, and so you think, "Oh my gosh, like, this is really accelerated, like, maybe he doesn't need Mariko as much anymore." And then you get to moments like this where, like, people are still not understanding each other, and it's like, "No, no, no, he's just doing a really good job of, like, parroting what he is taught without understanding the language fully." He
Yeah.
has fragments, certainly, like, you see him on his own, like, they exchange, like, short words, but when, he's, like, greeting Buntaro and welcoming him to his house, that's just a phrase he's repeating. He has no idea what he's actually just said.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we went literally last night to my favorite Japanese restaurant, and they now know that Ashley and I do not know Japanese, just bits and pieces. But early
Mm,
on,
mm,
to begin with, it was like you say something and then, oh, you must know a lot of Japanese. No, just a few things. And so
yep.
yeah, it is that thing. Like absolutely, you learn what when you're learning something, you totally learn the appropriate thing to say in that moment. But you don't necessarily learn what that really means. It's just like
Mhm,
saying, you know, like, "Itadakimasu" is you would it's like, why would you say that? Well, it's like saying "Bon appetit," but
mhm,
it has a different meaning than that, like a different literal
right.
meaning. So you just know that I say this before I eat. So
Mm,
all kinds of things like that, absolutely. And, yeah, you're right. They do a good job of like step forward, pull back. I'm understanding
mhm,
something, I'm appreciating something, and now I'm aghast in horror at
mhm,
this. Like it just like it's a you, it's a weird thing to go from a culture that maybe we're more familiar with to a culture where everything has a meaning, a second meaning and symbolism. Like
mhm,
everything. Everything
mhm,
has a deeper meaning than on the surface level. And so
mhm,
it's super easy to offend, like I would go to almost anywhere in Europe and not be concerned about manners or like offending the sensibilities of anyone around for the most part. Just what we
Right.
consider normal behavior. But if
Right,
you
our
go
everyday behaviors. Yes,
Yes.
mhm,
If you go to Japan, all of a sudden those things you're worried about, at least me, you're worried about them. You're worried about like doing the wrong thing to
mhm,
upset what is normal there and what is expected of you. And most people are
mhm,
like understand you're not from here, like you did it wrong, whatever, it's not, but still, like it's so different. And I just love that this show is like really focusing on that. So
mhm. Yes.
yeah. You said something else you wanted to go back to, or
Oh, yeah, yeah, so there's moments between, Mariko and Blackthorn where they're talking about freedom,
oh
and
yeah,
it's right after this horrendous dinner that we've been
yep,
discussing, and, we see the after effects of Buntaro's abuse. And Blackthorn is like, "Why don't you just leave? Like, you have to, get out of here and go live your life and be free." And she's like, "There's no freedom, or no, when you're seeking freedom, you're never free of yourself," which I think is a really interesting way of saying, like, seeking freedom for yourself is a never-ending thing. It's like it's a self-centered viewpoint of the world. And to her, like, always seeking more freedoms and thinking about yourself is actually more trapping to a human being than her lifestyle, where her life is lived in service to others. So she's saying, like, service to yourself is not freedom, service to others is freedom. I think it's kind of how, like, I boiled down that message into a very simplistic form.
yeah. Of my few notes, I wrote down specifically that quote.
Sure.
If all you live for is freedom, you shall never be free from yourself.
Mhm.
Um, so you think it's something like you can't in this existence, you can't really be free. So it's a peace you'll never obtain. It's a thing you'll never achieve. So
Yes.
so playing into your role and your duty is relieving. It's kind of like it's difficult to be free and have to make choices and have to
Mhm.
like plow your own road. It's
Yeah.
easier to be told what to do, and
Mhm.
like because now you're freed from the burden of responsibility and
Of
choice.
choice even, yeah.
So that's how you interpret that? Is that
Some to some yeah, to I mean, to some extent, yes. Because if you it's I think it's sort of saying, if all you live for is freedom, you shall never be free from yourself. If you serve yourself as your master and you're constantly seeking your own freedoms, your own choices, your own, like, pleasures, you're always gonna be seeking the next thing to gratify you, to make you happy, to make you feel free. Um,
okay?
and so if you're serving yourself, there's a sort of, like, perpetual servitude, in yourself, as like never being able to please yourself. You're serving a master who will never be pleased. You're always going to be seeking the next thing. Whereas, like, if you live your life in service to others, there's like, here's this task, or, here's this thing I require of you. You are doing it well. There's a peace in being like, I achieve this task.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of
Mhm.
a hard concept for me to to speak to and to sort of, define clearly,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to get at the essence of, serving yourself versus serving others. And Mariko says, "My freedom is serving others." Maybe you should consider that.
I think there's a something maybe to that when you're when you're choosing to serve someone
Mhm,
because you maybe believe in the cause or the person or whatever, um,
mhm,
but when you're forced into that service, it feels
mhm.
different to me. Um, and then is this
Well,
the
it's
argument? Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say that's the tension I think that starts out between Fuji and Mariko when they have that conversation about her being, consort for Blackthorn. Fuji's like, "Okay, I'm in service here. I'm giving so much. I'm not really feeling like I'm believing in this." And Maruko's like, you gotta do what Toranaga says. Like, there's purpose here. You can find comfort." Like, so Mariko believes at that point, and Fuji is kind of like, I'm at an all-time low. Like, I'm not
Right.
really sure that I'm believing this. Now, is she gonna go run away and like seek her own freedoms? Doubtful, but she's certainly not believing in serving Toranaga right now. She's
Yeah.
doing it, but she's definitely not finding any joy or freedom out of it. In
Is this
fact, she
sort
just
of
feels like she's consistently being punished.
it? I know, like, maybe it bothers people. I never am worried about like delving into religion on the show here. We have in the past,
Sure,
but like, is this any
sure.
sort of like um kind of the worry that Christians might bring up is like if you don't serve God and the higher power, you end up serving man.
Mm,
You're served, so
sure.
this is how Japan in a society that is like, you know, gods are in nature. They're all
Mm,
like, it's like a Shinto sort of everything.
right.
It's not like it's not a omnipresent singular thing that you would, but then we have Christians here, we have Catholics.
Mhm.
And so like, that doesn't seem to be affecting them here. They mentioned it earlier, but your service to God versus your service to
Yeah,
Tonaga and to your country and everything. Um, they haven't played with that for a while, but like, is this
they
that
haven't,
sort of
yeah.
fear being, I don't know, like, how do you keep a society get together? You know,
Mhm.
I'm just spitballing questions. How do you keep a society together? If it's like if you have the structure of God is the Almighty. That's the thing. That's what you order your life around. You create your own hierarchy around that, or you have your Lord, your human,
Mhm.
that is essentially that you
Sure,
organize your life around. Like, is
sure.
this
Well,
the
I mean,
natural path for humans, or
sure. I mean, obviously in early Europe, we had both because we had God, and then you had like your lord was God's vassal, like your king or your
right?
queen was God's chosen. So, we had to bring a little bit of like that divinity to an earthly body because yeah, otherwise our serfs obey
Right.
and kind of fall into their place. Like, what would be the point? They could just be like, no, 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 I don't need to serve you, I need to serve God. What would that be? What would anybody do? So we
Right.
do have this like, we need organization, and this is how we found the solution to that.
Yeah. These are big brain topics, Andrea.
Mhm.
I've had some things to drink, but uh,
I don't know.
but I love it.
Those
I
brains are
always
fun.
love the discussion of, you know, like how humans organize, what they need for
Mhm.
structure, and I think that Japan has found something very unique, and maybe that's a little bit of what we're exploring here. Um,
Sure. 2 thoughts to that. I would love, one, to get, Chris on here to talk about that just from, like, a historical perspective and, like, talking about the history perspective on, you know, Japan's growth in isolation,
right.
and their, like, societal organization. Um, I just because I think that would be fascinating to, kind of delve into from his perspective. And then also, of course, I lost my thought. Oh, I got it back. Okay. So Mariko, our kind of main character who is seemingly part of both, has converted to
Yeah.
Christianity. We have, like you said, we haven't seen that for a while, that tension and potential interplay between her faith and her like duty, but also we're kind of, I think, starting to see another side to her character where it could be that like her converting to Christianity is literally just another act of service for
Right.
Tornaga, and it's very possible that she does not actually believe this, but it's convenient.
Yeah.
It's she's
Right.
now a tool.
Or
And,
it's
maybe there was nobody else willing to do it. Maybe she volunteered for it because it was a way to get away from her husband and serve her lord. There could be a lot of factors playing into that. But I mean, I think given what we've talked about with everybody kind of in this show not ever really knowing their true motives sometimes, that could definitely be a point.
yeah. That makes me think maybe I mean, you can see people going around and trying to spread the good word and promising forgiveness. And what could she
Mhm.
use more than anything but like a forgiveness?
Mhm.
She's trying to rid herself of sins, not even her sins, but sins of the
Mhm.
father. I can see that being a perfect sort of candidate to
Yep.
uh,
Very attractive.
convert. Yeah.
Yep.
And but you bring up a good point, like, maybe she's not really feeling it, and maybe it's because after she's assaulted, it would make for a good moment for her to be kinda
Mhm.
holding the cross she's wearing and, like, saying something to God in that moment,
Mhm.
and we just
Yeah.
haven't seen any of those things, like, uh,
Mhm.
praying or something.
Right, and I mean, I think it would be very smart of Toranaga, who we know is a smart person, to have her kind of like be in there, be some eyes and ears, and then also just for like a basic understanding of what's now a part of their nation. I mean, you have
Right.
two of the Council of Regents who have proclaimed that they are converted to Christianity. It would behoove Toranaga to be like, I need to know what's going on here. Like, these two suddenly have a new faith. What does that mean? How is that maybe going to affect our customs, our rule, our decision making? You know, maybe I'm just
Yeah.
curious and I just need to understand what this is. Um, but I think it would make sense for him, either full convert or not, to have someone who understands what's going on there and be a student of this.
Yeah. Okay. I know I said, wanted me like 9:45, but it's 10:05 already. So just like gotta play it out.
Yes.
What else? I wanted to say I thought it was maybe a little uncharacteristic that they wouldn't try his dish. To me, as
Yeah.
Hatamoto and head of that household, that
Right.
they
Is this
would
not
not
offensive?
out of yes, I thought that was a misstep from the show. Like to me, unless there's something I'm not understanding here,
Yeah.
I thought that they would all try that. Like there'd be more, maybe
Uh-huh.
like Buntaro would be, maybe he'd be more resistant to it. But
Mm.
everybody else would choke it back and give it a shot.
Right. As he does.
As he does, as he would be expected to, because it would be a great
Yes.
insult to not. And so,
Mhm.
in turn, I was like, "This is an
Right?
injustice right here." So,
Right. Yeah.
mhm, yeah. Okay, we haven't talked about so much stuff. We haven't talked about,
I know.
Toranaga's son deciding to blow away the people coming to
Yes.
negotiate uh, I say negotiate, I guess, in air quotes. Um,
Right, yeah. I mean, we know what
mhm.
they were there for. Briefly though, before I just wanna touch on one thing. So, speaking of, like, kind of, questions around, like, offense, uh, a, uh, Mariko and Blackthorn finally pillowing, which I knew was gonna happen.
Pillowing, yeah.
Knew. I mean, come on. Like, it was pretty much written in from the beginning. And Buntaro's, like, supposed death obviously gave them a perfect. So, I was wondering, for Fuji, is this a relief? Or is
Yes.
this an
I was
insult?
Yeah. I saw that in your notes, and I was thinking that I was thinking that when I watched it too. It's like, well,
Right?
how is she gonna react? I mean, well, clearly it was, like, with relief because she doesn't know that it's with Mariko.
Right.
They were speaking Portuguese, and, yeah.
Right. I just felt like if she did know, like, is this, like, super insulting? Or is it,
Yeah.
like, okay, just, whatever, as long as it's not me.
In my head, where I go is, like, it's one of those things, like, you don't wanna go to the party, but you wanna be invited to the party. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like, "Wait a minute. How dare you? I mean, I don't want to have pillow time with you, but
Right.
if but I should have been asked to have pillow time with you, damn it."
Right, right. Yeah, like, and Mariko of all people, like, you really couldn't wander around the
Yeah,
village and, procure a concubine because 'cause they're out
yeah,
there. We
right.
have, Omi, Yabushige's nephew, visiting and falling in love with one who tells him then
Right.
sets a whole thing in motion that we can get back to now with, Toranaga's son. We've got this whole, like,
Yes.
chain of, like, maybe, Yabashige, maybe you should betray Toranaga. Omi, maybe you should betray Yabashige, and kinda, like, go to the son here and make your play for power, and it leads
Yeah,
to something pretty devastating.
yeah. Um, yeah, I found that really interesting. You mean 'cause obviously we're thinking they set it up that we're imagining that Toranaga is gonna be really upset because of
Mhm,
what happened, as
mhm.
opposed to he's upset that his son didn't make the call. He's like, "I know
Yeah.
you're not smart enough. You were you were the stupid falcon that just,
Mhm,
like, took the bait. You weren't the
mhm,
one that, went for the kill or decided anything for yourself, really." I thought that was I thought that was one maybe on not a lot of evidence that was decided other than, like, I guess I
mhm.
really know my son,
Yeah.
you know? But it was
Yeah,
surprising. What did you take it? What did you think?
I think we're supposed to, like, sort of, fill in the gaps there in terms of, like, we know the conversation happened, plus when Toranaga when Jozen, Ishido's messenger, comes, um, you know, like, everybody else is like, "We're gonna play this out," and then suddenly he's just like, "You insulted my father!" And has,
Yeah.
like, no other good reason. Like, so and then when
Mhm.
Toranaga comes and he's like, "I know it wasn't you," he's like he doesn't have any sort of like, "Actually, I did this strategically because
Right.
XYZ, and then you can make your move." So Toranaga's like, "You didn't think this out. You were just
Yep.
like, 'War! We're gonna do this. We're gonna crush him. Insult to honor.' You didn't play the game. You didn't think the
Yep.
step." So I sort of put those pieces together and was okay with Toranaga being like, "You're just dumb. You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta learn to, like, make others do your bidding and, like, think through the game and think through your chess pieces," or in this case, send your birds.
Yeah.
Be the hunter, not the bird.
Mhm. Yeah, it's fascinating. Really a turn that I didn't expect, but,
Bloody
I like
turn. Holy cow.
Mhm.
That, I did not see it coming. I mean, I didn't think that they were just gonna, like, demonstrate the cannons and, all was gonna be well, but I did not expect, like, cannons set up at the opposite end to fire
Yeah.
on Josen. I
Reckless.
did not.
Holy hell,
Ooh,
reckless.
yes. So many more people could have been hurt.
Yes.
Wow. I
Yep,
mean,
that
it
was
also kind
crazy.
of demonstrated in a weird, horrible way the accuracy. Like, they
Mhm.
weren't exaggerating the accuracy of those cannons.
Yep. Really good effects, really shocking.
Mhm.
It was well done.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, yeah, it's there was something else I wanted to say about that, but, maybe we'll get
Sure.
back to it. The other thing that I thought was surprising, was a kinda twist we got in this was with the spy. I was a little confused
Yeah.
how Blackthorn sort of made the relationship with the one guy, and then it's like, "I'm the spy," but he was spying on Toranaga's behalf, so it's
Yeah.
sort of like the leak was part of the plan, I
Planned.
guess?
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you noted that because that was a whole plot point that really surprised me as well, and I forgot to kind of mention in my notes. Um, yeah, that was crazy, just like our random guy that we're introduced to in the very beginning, just like we think this elder in the fishing village who's just, living out his days is actually like, "Hey, this is my trusted samurai. This
Yeah.
is my trusted warrior over here, and, he's been spying all along."
Mhm. And so he is the perfect contrast to, I'm looking for his name, to,
Yabashige?
Yabushige. Yeah.
Mhm.
Kashigi Yabushige, he is like the guy he's supposed to be the right-hand man, but he's
He is
not.
all over the place.
Yes. So it's what do you think of him? Because we were talking all about service and honor and your duty, to your lord and everything like that. Whereas he is totally, it seems, just, "I'm going to, as long as I can, be
Mhm.
friends with both sides, so
Yeah.
whoever is gonna come out on top, I can convince them I've been with them the whole time." So
Right,
totally
right.
not going along with this sort of worldview that
Yes.
you would expect, and he's not then, as an audience member, he's a fun character, but he's not
Mhm.
seen as, you can't see him as respectable. And
Right.
so you see the person that serves loyally and faithfully is respectable, even if the service required of them is
Mhm.
maybe uh less than savory or something, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you do have Tornaga's, I think, 2 most trusted, vassals, because I don't wanna say servants, because I don't believe
Right.
that that's what they um, are in the worst positions. And I guess shows the level of trust, but, it would be hard to be not very rewarded. Like, obviously, we have and I did forget his name in the village, but his samurai,
Mm,
the spy in the fishing
yeah.
village, which is not a great position for him.
No.
And then we have Hiromatsu back in Osaka, and he is delivering Toranaga's resignation to the
Yes.
council, and he's still technically a prisoner, and I honestly thought in that moment, I was like, "He gonna die." Like, I don't know if it's gonna be literally right now, but it might be soon. Like, he's still trapped here. He has no recourse. He has nothing going on. Like, if they're gonna impeach him as they seem, ready to do, he's basically just stuck in Osaka Castle.
Yes.
No escape, no recourse. Like, you're probably gonna be executed.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Right.
And then we have Yabashige, who is, like, flip-flopping all over the place.
Mhm.
Sometimes I can't decide if it's, like, an act, sometimes I can't decide who he's really loyal to or if it's just himself, but, yeah, he seems to be getting some, like, decent rewards out of this. I mean, we did see a small backstep when, Toranaga was like, "Hey, I'm gonna hand over your regiment to your nephew here."
Yeah. Yeah,
But other
well,
than that, I
he was
mean,
handing it from
you
his
know
taking it from his son to him, really. So
Yeah.
it's not really
Well,
going.
and yeah, but, like, Yabashige was like, "This is my regiment." Toranaga took it, but he feeling like, "This is my thing." Even if
Mhm.
that wasn't really true, he felt it was true.
Yeah.
'Cause then obviously that's the reason I think he says to Omi, like, "You can't take from me what's already mine."
Right. Because it is his territory, like,
Right, and it's
so,
his soldiers that he trained up 'cause of in the beginning, of course, they're cheering for Yabashige until
yeah.
they cheer for Toranaga.
I think the spy here, I think I found him, is, Muraji.
Muraji, okay,
Muraji. So,
okay.
one name. Um, okay. What else? I'm sure there's things we've missed, but is there anything big that we
I
really?
think the two biggest closers in this episode 5 here, the earthquake,
Hmm.
which there were some good effects here, there were some rough effects. But,
Oh, you
it
didn't
was
like
definitely surprise
the sort of sweeping over of the pulled back shot of.
Yeah, it was a little weird. There was a little, like, carpet ripply
Mm,
fabric almost like movement happening. So there were some shots I thought that made it work, and I believed, like, the kind of landslide earthquake combo,
yeah.
especially when it was, like, heading towards the village, like, this slow kind of landslide, mudslide crawl.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but when they were in the hills, there were a couple of moments where I just felt like somebody was just, like, shaking a piece of fabric and just, like,
Mm.
rippling it around, and it was very unbelievable to me. Effects
This.
aside, I mean, it was obviously really important in terms
Mhm.
of once again, we have, Toranaga in danger. He has like a small crew of trusted allies there to save him. But then also with devastation to the army that he's brought to this village and to the village itself.
Mhm. Yeah.
So like Toranaga is alive and he lives to fight another day, but like how much is this going to cripple him in terms of fighting against the other regions?
Yeah. Right. And it's another one of those things where Blackthorn does kind of build up this sort of cachet of
Mhm.
favors or, surprising. He's shown surprising loyalty here for someone that,
Mhm.
is not of our
Yep.
culture. And so
Yep.
like it shows a character to them even when he's, you know, very unfamiliar with how he should act in ways he
Mhm.
naturally acts that way. And I think that
Mhm.
continues to build the respect and properly shows how why maybe he would still be alive and has gotten to this
Mhm.
position.
Yes.
It really is his because his brashness notwithstanding, he really is like genuine in a lot of ways and you know, kind of placing his I don't know, his morality in the right places often.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
Toranaga sees that, others see that, and it's the only way you can excuse him for still being alive. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he saves Toranaga kind of quite a bit in this trio of episodes that we're covering. I mean, first, obviously, he helps him escape Osaka by making
yep,
that commotion.
yep,
Um, and then we have helping get through the barricade of pirates at sea,
yep,
and allowing them to escape by boat. And then now we have here like literally diving headfirst down a landslide to find where he's buried and
yep.
digging him out. So we have 3 major moments where he saves his life, and then also now this was a little bit debatable for me, given what we know of the backstory, but, offering him something honorable and saying, like, "Here are my swords. I believe that they're prized possessions. You should have swords."
I think
It
that
was a little weird, like I said, given that we know, like, Mariko was like, "Yeah, Hiromatsu, like, bought them off a drunken samurai because Fuji couldn't be allowed to lose her honor and understand that her family died for nothing." Um, so I didn't know if that was, like, insulting in some way to offer them, but I think the intent got through.
I think
Do you know
that's
what I mean?
why
He was
Toranaga kinda
genuinely offering
smiled
them.
and sort of chuckled because it's sort of a he's taking this thing that he thinks is so important right now, and so they
Mhm.
see that sort of it comes across as naive, but again,
Right.
sincere, you know?
Yeah, it's
Like
genuine, it's
yeah,
genuine. Like,
so
he genuinely thinks, like, "This is really important, like, I want you to have it," and they're like, "Oh, he doesn't know, but, like, we get it, it's like a good gesture, thank you."
yeah. 'cause it was stressed to him, so much before, like,
Yes.
"Hey, this is a important gesture," and so immediately he's
Yeah.
trying to do what he can to
Yes.
show that respect or whatever, so
Yes.
yeah, those again are the things that despite, like, the outbursts at times and the refusal to, like, understand or accept certain elements of the culture that,
Right.
endear him to others for yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, he's still trying for sure.
mhm, mhm.
So yeah, we are going to be seeing, I assume, obviously in the next episode, the effects of this earthquake and like just how far the devastation went. Um, but then also we get another little mini kind of um shake up, if you will, in terms of the fact that Lady Ochiba,
Mm,
our late Taiko's wife and mother to his heir, returns. She's returned to Osaka, and she's not just like this meek, docile, subservient woman. She's like, "Hey, Ishido, I'm here. So glad. Gonna take over now. Thanks for your service."
yeah,
Like, wow. I wasn't expecting that either.
yep.
And that was a
She might be
great
the
little
one that, like,
bomb.
brings us straight into the all-out war, and I'm kind of interested
Mhm.
in yeah, I'm really interested to see where this left, you know, left turn here, this curveball
Yeah.
brings us. Because yeah,
Yes.
didn't see that.
I'm wondering if, there's like I'm just going to be taking over, or if, given all the buildup we did in this episode of, trying to find a replacement council member and everybody being rejected because they're too dumb or too, rude, or, this is just a political nomination on your part.
Yeah,
Like, this is
just
your,
another Catholic on the yeah, mhm.
right. So, if she's gonna be like, "You should nominate me to the council," and then, she just kinda, like, takes over as de facto council
Yeah.
head.
What yeah, because I don't know the structure of this, it'd be like, well,
Right,
will they just listen to her automatically, or does she have to play this politically a little bit to make
right,
this happen?
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, this is
Mhm.
my musings on, potential next plot lines, but
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Well, we have been kind of going, like, we do Shogun, then we have an anime episode, and then we do a daisy chain movie thing continuation.
Mhm.
For me, I feel like we gotta keep going on the show. Like, it's just
Yeah.
kinda keeps getting good, and I feel like I wanted to keep going after watching the last episode, so if you're cool with it, we should get the next 2 episodes in and talk
Let's
about
do
it.
it. It'll give me, more time to plot my moves in our daisy chaining, so
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
did
Alright.
I cut out?
You cut out, but it's kind of like it
Oh, you
catches
got
up
there.
mostly. Yeah. 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 Okay. Well, there was a lot going on here. Hopefully we covered the big points for everyone here. The most important aspects.
Mhm.
If we didn't, let us know in the comment section of YouTube or wherever. That's perfectly fine. Join the conversation. You should like, share, subscribe in all those places. Like, so right now we're live on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, X. So you can always find us on those places at Popcast on the Rocks. And you'll find us like the most consistent thing, if you want just all of it in one place, I guess, is Twitch and podcast
Mhm.
services. No matter if the anime podcast or this one, that's where it's going to be. And so, yeah, Popcast on the Rocks, Ohio Anime, Gamecast on the Rocks. Those are the main things we ask of you if you're a fan that you like, share, subscribe, follow, all that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Killing the Flower, they wrote a theme song to this show, so you should check them out on music streaming services. MJ Honeybee, she hasn't been on in a little while. She hasn't been feeling well. Hopefully she's back soon. Um,
Feel
she
better,
is a
MJ.
yeah, she's a has like a ear infection, I believe. So
Oh, bummer.
yeah, that sucks. So But hopefully she's back soon. She does Dead by Daylight streams on Twitch. So yeah, make sure you follow her, MJ Honeybee. Scoop Eats. JP, that JP turned us on to him. So check
That's
him out. He's
right.
doing eating things. He's a big anime fan too. So he definitely watches the
Mhm.
anime podcast, and we appreciate that. So check out Scoop Eats if you want to see someone do food challenges. And then Peter J. Gilbertson. I've been plugging that he, go to
Yeah.
Amazon.com, look up Peter J. Gilbertson, and you'll see all his works on there, short stories, horror, kind of paranormal things, everything. But there's also this digital magazine called Sci Fan Sat.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
So SCIFANSAT. The monthly e-zine electronic magazine. I didn't understand that at first, for science fiction, fantasy, and more. So sci-fan sat. And he did Peter J. Gilbertson did a couple short stories in those. And so you check them out. That's his latest works. And it's free. So you just go and give those a read. He would appreciate it. So yeah. I think that's everything. I didn't get
You
I
did
only
good.
got Mike early on. I got Mike's plug early on. Everybody else is still at the end here. So yeah.
You got
Um
time. Change comes slow sometimes.
mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
Oh, too much alcohol on this stream. Finished the tequila that I've had by me, my trusty
Woo.
tequila for a long time. It's all gone. So yeah. Time for a new bottle. But anyways, that's been Popcast on the Rocks, episode 163. We thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.
All right. Cheers, everybody.